Hey, Daryl Maston coming at you with this week's conversation. I'll remind you again, as I've been doing several weeks now, that there's nothing less important than the score at halftime. So keep on climbing, keep on believing God, because greater things are in store for you from this point on. 1 Samuel chapter 14, a great passage. I love the story. Actually, one of my favorite stories in all of the Bible. Talks about Jonathan and his armor bearer going over to the Philistine camp. Now, Jonathan was the son of Saul, so he didn't really need to fear much when it came to battle. Matter of fact, he was probably going to be protected in his father's tent as the battle raged. There were strategies and all that took place from the commander, or in this case, the king. And so Saul was going to sit and watch the battle from the mountaintop and potentially not be engaged. And so Jonathan had it set. He was all set. He decides to go with his armor bearer over to the Philistine camp when nobody noticed that he was gone. In the process of that, he goes up and tells the armor bearer what's going to take place, what's going to happen. And bottom line is that two guys, believing God had said something in their spirit, set out to annihilate a Philistine camp, the enemies of God. And they climbed that bluff, they climbed that ledge, the cliffs there, to get to that place where the Philistines were encamped. And as they got to that place, Jonathan, the Bible says, walked through the Philistines, and the Philistines began to fall. So Jonathan didn't lay a hand on any of the enemy, and his armor bearer traveled behind him, and that's where the armor bearer was annihilating the Philistine camp. But Jonathan, the man of God, with the vision of God, just plowed through the Philistine camp. I want to encourage you, with God on your side, first of all, there's nothing that you can't do, nothing that you can't accomplish. And it might look bleak right now. It might look like the enemies, there's more of them than there are of you. I want to encourage you to stand fast and stand tall. You might have to climb that ledge. There's going to be some work involved. But as you do that, I am sure and I guarantee you that God is not going to leave you hanging, that He is going to bring victory, as He did Jonathan and his armor bearer, victory to your house. The conversation exists for you and me to have a conversation, for me and you to have a dialogue about the things that we're discussing here on the conversation. So you can go check it out, 1 Samuel chapter 14. Read that passage and let's have a conversation.